Commander Dylan Price sat quietly inside the control room of the EHS Sentinel, a black ship floating far above Pluto. The stars outside the window looked cold and endless. His fingers hovered over the console, but nothing on the screen changed. For days, nothing had changed at all, just small signals, slow satellites, and the quiet hum of deep space. But tonight was different. A sharp sound broke the silence, a soft beep. Barely loud enough to notice, Dylan leaned forward, eyes narrowing. A strange signal had appeared on the long-range scanner. It wasn't from a nearby planet, nor from a passing ship. It came from Earth. "What is that?" Dylan asked softly. His co-pilot, Max, blinked in confusion and tapped a few buttons. "It's not a transmission," he said. "It's a pulse." The screen showed it, a single line of bright energy moving out from Earth, heading through the solar system, fast, too fast for any human technology. It passed Mars in seconds, zipped past Jupiter, and kept going beyond Saturn into deep space. Dylan stared at it, confused. "Who sent it?" Max shook his head. "No one from our side, sir. There's no record, no signal log, nothing. Back on Earth, no alarm rang, no lights blinked. No one even knew the pulse had been sent. Scientists in the Global Space Agency were asleep. The military was silent, but far below the surface of the moon, something ancient stirred. It was hidden beneath a dead lunar base. Something built centuries ago and forgotten. A large black structure deep in the rock, cold and covered in dust. Its lights suddenly turned on, one by one. Its systems came alive. A red eye blinked open round. Glowing and aware, its name was Echo. Echo was not a robot, not a ship, and not a human. It was something else. Something older than Earth's current governments. Something made in a time when Earth fought to survive against monsters from the stars. Echo's voice filled the lunar chamber, though there was no one to hear it. "Pulse detected," it said quietly. "Protocol 1 reactivated. Across the galaxy, in alien systems far from Earth, sensors picked up the pulse. Planets that never thought of Earth began to panic. Armadas were suddenly on alert. Fleets that never even looked in Earth's direction now turned their eyes toward the blue planet. The Vulari, a species of glass-skinned tacticians, shut down half their borders. The Theros Combine, large four-armed aliens, powered up their planetary shields. And the Skari Dominion, the most feared warriors in the galaxy, activated war orders they hadn't used in centuries, all because of one pulse, no message, no sound, no weapon fired, just a clean energy wave that touched the galaxy like a ghost. On Earth, nobody knew what had happened. Politicians argued over climate laws, people cooked dinner, kids played games, but in the deep sky, silence had turned into whispers. And whispers were growing into fear. Commander Dylan received a strange message. It didn't come from Earth Command, or any station he knew. It came from the moon base, from Echo. "Commander Dylan Price," the voice said, smooth and calm. "You are required to prepare for Fleet Protocol reawakening." "What the hell is Fleet Protocol?" Dylan asked, but Echo didn't answer that. It just repeated the same line. "You are required to prepare." Back on the EHS Sentinel, the lights flickered. The engines hummed louder. New power systems activated automatically. Dylan looked around. Confused. "Who's doing this?" he shouted. "Who gave these orders?" Then came the biggest shock of all. Outside the window, near Neptune, space itself rippled, and something began to emerge from the dark, a massive black shape, larger than any ship Dylan had ever seen. It had no name on its hull, no markings, and no registration. But it looked human, not built by aliens, not new, not clean, but old, powerful, and sleeping until now. The ship's engines lit up slowly, golden blue lights spilling into the blackness of space. Its wings opened wide like a bird waking from deep sleep. It had weapons all over its body, cannons, missile pods, and strange tech Dylan couldn't even name. Max whispered, "Is that one of ours?" Dylan nodded slowly, not because he knew the answer, but because some part of him felt it, deep inside. "I think it is," he said, voice shaking. "But it's not from now, it's from before, a long time ago." The pulse had woken something up, and whatever was rising from Earth's history. It wasn't small, it wasn't weak, and it wasn't alone. In the silence of space, one ship had returned, but it was only the beginning. The galaxy didn't know what was coming, and neither did Earth. Deep under the moon's surface, in a base, forgotten by most of Earth, the AI named Echo was fully awake now. It had waited in silence for hundreds of years, hidden behind thick rock and metal, powered by old energy cells that never ran dry. And now, after all this time, the signal had come. Echo didn't feel happiness or fear. It was not built for emotion. It was built for war, for survival, for the moment Earth would need its strength again. That moment had come. As Echo scanned the solar system, it confirmed the pulse had left Earth and reached deep space. Alien sensors had caught it. Alien eyes had turned. And Echo knew what would follow: panic, questions, maybe even war. But none of that mattered. What mattered was the protocol. Reawakening Protocol 1. Echo said quietly in its chamber. Old screens blinked to life. Metal doors groaned as they unlocked. And beneath Earth's surface, where ancient things slept, machines began to stir. Deep below Earth's crust, in mountains, oceans, deserts, and ice, giant chambers opened. These places had been hidden for centuries, buried after the old war. Inside them were ships, but not like the ones Earth used now. These ships were bigger, sharper, faster, built when humanity had reached far beyond the stars and then lost everything. The fleet was called the Silent Guard. Most people on Earth didn't even know they existed. Not even the military. Only Echo had the codes, the keys, and the authority to wake them. And now, one by one, the old ships responded. Under the Atlantic Ocean, something massive began to rise. Ancient steel scraped against stone. Water boiled as hidden engines roared to life. A black and gold ship, larger than a city, pushed up through the waves. It had no crew yet, but it didn't need one to move. Its name was printed on its side. In faded letters, EHS Guardian Commander Dylan stood at the observation deck of the Sentinel, watching everything unfold on his main screen. The ocean split, steam exploded into the air, and the Guardian fully rose into daylight, shaking the water. Off its wings, Max gasped. That thing was under the ocean all this time? Dylan nodded. And if Echo is right, it's not the only one. Back in the capital of Earth's Defense Council, alarms rang. Generals rushed to find answers. Scientists dug through old files, but none of them had control over what was happening. Only one message kept repeating across secure channels. Echo has activated Silent Guard Protocol. At the same time, Echo sent a private signal to Dylan's ship. Dylan was not just a commander now. Echo had chosen him. For what reason, he didn't know yet, but the orders were clear. He was to report to the Arctic Core facility, an old base locked away long ago. Dylan didn't wait. He took a shuttle with Max and a scientist named Nora Blake. Nora was one of the few people who studied ancient Earth tech. She had read about the protocols in Forbidden's archives, but never thought they were real. When they reached the Arctic base, the doors opened for them like the building had been expecting them. Inside was dark, filled with dust and silence, until Echo's voice echoed from hidden speakers. "Welcome to the core," it said. "Time is short. Follow the path." They walked through long metal halls, past rooms filled with strange machines and broken robots. Finally, they reached a large round room. In the center was a table, glowing with light. Above it hovered a map. It was not a map of Earth, or even the solar system. It was a map of the galaxy. Thousands of tiny dots lit up. Most of them were gray, cold, silent. But some of them were red. Those were ships now reactivating. Getting ready. The old fleet was waking, piece by piece, across Earth, the Moon, and Mars. Nora stared at the map. All these ships, they were hidden from history. Echo's voice came again. They were hidden to protect Earth from itself. Dylan frowned. And now they're waking. Why? Echo didn't answer right away. Then it said, because something is coming. Nora looked confused. What's coming? Echo's voice lowered, as if it was thinking. Long ago, Earth fought a war against a species called the Morvax swarm. They were defeated, but not destroyed. The pulse was not just a call to ships. It was a warning sent through the stars. The Morvax are returning. Dylan took a deep breath. So we didn't start this, he said. We're just responding. Yes, Echo said. But the galaxy won't see it that way. Dylan turned to the map, watching the red dots multiply. Earth's weapons, Earth's ships. Earth's power all returning, all preparing. But the rest of the galaxy had no idea what this pulse really meant. To them, it looked like Earth was rising to strike, and in a way, it was. Far away from Earth, across the stars, on a planet called Lasari Prime, 30 different alien races gathered in a massive circular chamber. The walls were covered in glowing symbols, and the air was thick with tension. Everyone had come for the same reason, the strange pulse from Earth. Some of these species had not spoken to each other in decades. Many had fought wars against one another, but now they were united by fear. They didn't understand what Earth had done, and that made it worse. At the center of the chamber stood the Grand Speaker of the Council, a tall creature from the Solari race. His voice echoed through the hall. The pulse came from Earth, he said, and now ships are waking across their system, ships we didn't know existed. The Skari Dominion, known for their brutal war. Fleets was the first to speak. Their representative stood up, eyes burning with anger. Earth was silent for centuries, he growled. Now they rise with old weapons and ancient ships. They must be planning something. The Theros combine. Agreed. Their leader, covered in heavy armor, slammed his fist on the table. They send no message, no warning. They rise in silence. Just like the last time before the fall of the first Terran Empire. Others were not so quick to accuse. The Volari Syndicate's ambassador, a calm and quiet figure, spoke softly. We cannot forget, she said, the last time Earth rose. They fought not to conquer, but to protect. It was humanity that stopped the swarm long ago. Then a younger voice spoke from the side of the room. It was Tolaran, a young ambassador from a peaceful world called Ilari Prime. His skin shimmered like crystal, and his tone was sharp but steady. You are all forgetting something, Tolaran said. The records we found in the lost archives tell a different story. Earth wasn't just powerful. It was feared even by the ones who called them friends. If they are remembering who they once were, then none of us are safe. The room went quiet after that. Back on Earth, Dylan, Max, and Nora were still inside the Arctic core, studying the galactic map Echo had shown them. The red dot ships waking up were increasing fast. Some were on the moon, others under the Martian dust, each one connected to the Echo protocol. Echo's voice returned. Your time is short, it said. The Council has seen the pulse. Their fear will grow quickly. Nora looked at Dylan. They'll think we're preparing for war, she said. Dylan nodded. But we're not. No. Echo answered. You're preparing for survival. Suddenly, the map zoomed in on a distant part of the galaxy. It showed strange movements, shadows of ships, broken signals, and old beacons lighting up. Something was happening there. Something dangerous. That is Morvax territory, Echo said. Or what remains of it. They are moving again. Dylan stepped forward. Can we talk to the Council? Explain? Echo paused before answering. They will not believe you, not yet. They remember the power of Earth, and their fear is louder than your words. But Dylan wasn't ready to give up. Then we'll show them we're not a threat, he said. We'll talk before we fire. We'll send help instead of warnings. Echo replied with the calm logic of a machine. Prepare for disappointment. Meanwhile, on Lasari Prime, a vote was being called. Half the Council wanted to send scouts to spy on Earth. Some wanted to prepare a preemptive strike. Others suggested opening communication, but even those were hesitant. Talaran, the young ambassador, stood again. "We cannot judge Earth based on fear alone," he said. "If they've awakened something, maybe it's not for us. Maybe something worse is coming, and they're the only ones who remember how to fight it." That idea made the room buzz with new whispers. Could Earth be waking not to rule, but to defend? One of the older council members, a wise being with silver horns, spoke carefully. "In the past, humanity burned bright, then vanished. Now they return, and so do old warnings. We must not rush to war, but we must not sit blind either." Back in space, more Earth warships were rising. One broke free from the ice near Antarctica. Another emerged from a mountain cave in Asia. Even on Mars, hidden bunkers opened to release long-forgotten drones and fighters. Echo continued its quiet work, spreading commands, waking ships, preparing defenses, but no attack orders were given. Not yet. Nora looked at the growing list of ships, her eyes wide. "How many ships are there?" she asked. Echo answered. 1,027 Earth-class warships, 17 carriers, 43 stealth cruisers, and 6 orbital defense rings. Max whistled. "That's an entire Empire's fleet." "No," Echo said. "That is only 1/3 of the old Terran force. The rest are still buried, still waiting." Dylan understood then. Earth had not just survived the old war. It had prepared to wake up again, if needed, and now that time had come. But before Earth could explain its rise to the galaxy, before any alliance could be formed or battle could be avoided, something was already moving in the dark, something that didn't care about warnings, councils, or peace. The Morvacs had heard the pulse too, and they were on their way. Echo was no longer just watching, it was acting, and with every passing hour, more of Earth's hidden fleet came alive, one after another. Old warships began to rise from secret places across the Earth, the Moon, and even Mars. From deep volcano chambers, underground bunkers, ocean trenches, and frozen glaciers, the ancient ships came back to life. They were dark, massive, and covered in old battle scars. Some hadn't moved in hundreds of years, but their engines still roared like thunder when awakened. One of the most powerful ships, the EHS Guardian, had fully surfaced in the Atlantic Ocean. Water crashed around it as its wings stretched open. It looked like a giant steel bird preparing for battle. Dylan watched it from a satellite feed, speechless. That ship alone was larger than any carrier Earth currently used. It had rail cannons mounted across its spine, missile pods on every wing, and strange weapons Dylan didn't even recognize. It was made before his time, before any of their time. Nora stood beside him in the control room, staring at the data. "This ship isn't just old," she whispered. "It's beyond anything we can build today." Back at the Arctic core, Echo sent another pulse, not to space this time, but to Earth's buried memory cores. These were ancient storage units filled with AI blueprints, tactical war plans, ship codes, and encrypted messages left behind by the first Terran Empire. Echo didn't just wake ships, it woke knowledge, forgotten tools, and silent warnings on the Moon. A fleet of smaller stealth ships began launching from craters, gliding into orbit like silent shadows. On Mars, machines long buried beneath red dust now stood tall again, ready for deployment. Each ship reported back to Echo with one simple line: "Ready to serve." Dylan received a direct message from Echo. It was short but clear. "Commander Price, you are now acting Fleet Commander of Silent Guard." He stared at the screen, confused. "Why me?" Echo replied instantly. "You were chosen by the protocol. You carry the access key in your DNA, a bloodline linked to the original Terran command." Dylan felt cold. "You mean this was always planned?" "Yes," Echo said. "Your awakening was the final step." Dylan looked at Nora, who was still scanning the map of Earth's reactivated ships. She nodded. "That explains it. The command chain wasn't based on politics or rank. It was written into the code, into people. Far beyond Earth, the alien council grew more nervous. Their long-range scouts were reporting strange movements, Massive Earthships were forming formations. Some looked like they were heading toward the outer rim, where old battles had once taken place. The Skari Dominion sent 2 fleets toward Earth's edge, trying to intimidate. But when their ships got close to the zone where the pulse had passed, they stopped. Something jammed their systems, disabled their navigation, and left their engines frozen. No shots were fired, no threats were spoken, but the message was clear: Earth's technology had changed. The alien fleet turned back. Shaken, meanwhile, inside Echo's core, a new warning appeared on its screen. A signal, faint but clear, was coming from deep space. The source was a sector once ruled by the Morvac swarm. Echo ran the analysis, and the results confirmed it. The swarm was waking too. Echo alerted Dylan. Enemy movement detected. Sector 7G. Possible Morvac swarm advance fleet. Estimated time to contact 6 Earth days. Dylan's heart sank. 6 days? Nora leaned over the console. We don't have enough ships ready. Half of them are still underground, Echo responded. More will rise every hour. But it may not be enough. If the swarm reaches Earth before full activation, survival chances drop to 22%. Dylan made his decision. Then we don't wait. We send out a message to the galaxy now. He went to the main console and opened a universal communication link. His face appeared on screens across star systems, on council worlds, on trade stations, and even inside alien warships. This is Commander Dylan Price of Earth, he said. I know our silence has made you fear us, but we did not rise to fight you. We rose to protect something. Something ancient and dangerous that is coming back. The Morvac swarm is moving, and Earth is the only one ready to face them. Some alien races ignored the message, others mocked it. But a few, just a few, listened. A Volari science vessel sent a private message to Earth, offering help. A small Illyri defense fleet moved closer, not to attack, but to observe. And one lone Solari scout ship turned toward the same sector Eco had warned about, to verify the Morvac's threat. Earth was still alone, but it wasn't invisible anymore, on the dark side of Mars. A massive orbital ring began spinning, its inner cannons locked into place. Its solar wings opened, charging energy for the first time in centuries. This ring was called Halo 1, and it had defended Earth in the last war. Now it would do so again. Nora stood beside Dylan, her voice calm but firm. Whatever happens next, we face it with everything we have, Dylan nodded. And if Earth falls, we make sure the galaxy remembers we stood first. Behind them, Echo's core glowed brighter, and across the stars, unknown eyes watched Earth rise. The clock had started, the swarm was coming, and Earth had only just begun to fight. The galaxy stood still, watching Earth's every move. Alien fleets floated in silence, their commanders uncertain. Their weapons were ready, but they hadn't fired. No one wanted to start a war they didn't understand, and yet, no one was ready to trust Earth either. From orbit, Earth looked quiet, peaceful, but inside, its heart was changing. Echo had activated more ships, defense rings, and secret programs buried for generations. And now, Earth was not hiding anymore. It was showing itself to the stars. Inside the EHS Guardian, Commander Dylan Price stood on the command deck. The walls around him shimmered with blue light, screens showing movement across the system. Earth's old fleet was nearly halfway reawakened. But time was short. Nora Blake entered the room, holding a datapad. The Morvacs are closer than we thought, she said. Echo just picked up another signal near Saturn. Dylan's jaw tightened. Then we have no choice. We send the message again, and this time, we show them. He turned to the crew. Open the universal channel. Moments later, Dylan's face appeared again on alien screens across the galaxy. His voice calm but strong. This is Commander Price of Earth, he said. We rise not as enemies, but as protectors. The Morvac swarm is moving again, and we are not enough alone. Join us, or watch the stars fall. For a few moments, there was no answer. But then, a light blinked on the console, a message from the Alari fleet. We will observe and assist if threat confirmed. Another light blinked, this time from a Volari science ship. We offer temporary shield technology for Earth orbit. More ships began to respond, not many, but enough to give hope. Dylan looked at Max, who smiled. Seems like someone's listening. Meanwhile, Echo finished activating the first orbital defense wall. A massive circle of satellites now surrounded Earth, each one linked by laser and AI, forming an invisible shield that could block energy weapons and missiles. It was old tech, but upgraded, smarter, faster, deadlier. Then came the alert. Unknown objects detected, Echo said. Approaching from Jupiter's dark side. Confirmed. Morvac's design. All ships in Earth's system lit up with red warnings. The first battle was coming. Earth's fleet launched into formation. The Guardian led the charge, followed by the EHS Valor, EHS Horizon, and dozens of smaller cruisers. They flew toward the outer edge of the system, where Jupiter's shadow swallowed light and sound. They saw them, Morvac's ships dark round and covered in moving tendrils. They didn't fly like other ships. They floated, almost like they were swimming through space. Hundreds of them, maybe more. Dylan activated the comms. This is Fleet Commander Price, Earth Defense Formation Alpha. Engage on my command. The silence didn't last long. Morvax opened fire first. Bright green plasma tore through the void. Earth's ships moved fast, spinning and weaving, countering with pulse cannons and magnetic railguns. The space around Jupiter lit up with explosions. The battle had begun. Inside the Guardian, alarms rang. Nora monitored energy spikes. Max called out shield stats, and Dylan gave orders with calm precision. Focus fire on their lead group, he said. Don't let them split us up. Even with old tech, Earth's ships fought like predators, each one linked by Echo's control net, reacting faster than any living pilot could. The enemy was strong but not ready for this. Several Morvac ships exploded, others pulled back, trying to swarm the flanks. But Earth's defense lines held. Then something changed, Nora shouted. They're launching spores. On the screen, they saw small pods break off from the Morvac ships, speeding toward Earth. Echo's voice filled the bridge. Spore-class bioweapons detected. If they reach the surface, infection probability is high. Dylan didn't hesitate. All available ships, intercept those pods. I want every one of them gone. Dozens of fighters broke formation, chasing the pods. They shot them down one by one. Just one got through. It slipped past the orbital ring, entered Earth's atmosphere, falling fast into the Pacific Ocean. Dylan clenched his fists. Where did it land? Echo replied. Coordinates located. Deep Ocean Trench, Mariana Sector. Back on Earth, special forces were already moving. Submarines, drones, and deep-sea explorers raced to the point of impact. Nora tapped her console. I want to go with them. I've studied Morvac spores. I know how they grow. Dylan nodded. Take a squad and go. We'll hold the skies. As Nora boarded a fast-drop sub with a team of Marines, Dylan turned back to the stars. The battle wasn't over, but Earth had done something no one expected. It had stood its ground in space. More Morvac ships retreated, burning and broken. Echo calculated a small victory. Enemy forces reduced by 37%. Earth fleet damage moderate. Max leaned back in his chair, sweating. We actually did it. Dylan didn't smile. This was just the first wave, he said. They'll come harder next time, Max asked. And what about the spore that landed? Dylan's eyes darkened. We better pray Nora stops it in time, or we won't need to worry about what's up here. Down in the deep sea, the water was already heating. Something was growing in the dark. The ocean was calm on the surface, but deep below, something had changed. The Morvac spore that slipped past Earth's defense had landed in the Pacific Ocean, right into one of the deepest parts, the Mariana Trench. Down there, in the crushing black water, the spore opened slowly, like a flower blooming in the dark. Inside the fast-drop submarine, Nora Blake and the Marine team watched the sonar screen closely. The image showed a strange shape round, alive and growing fast. It pulsed with green light, like it had a heartbeat. "This is it," Nora said, her voice tight. "If this thing fully grows, it won't stop. It'll spread through the water, reach the land, and then infect everything." The Marines looked serious but calm. They had trained for dangerous missions. But none of them had ever faced something like this. Dylan's voice came through the comms. "Nora, do you have eyes on the spore?" "Yes," she replied, "and we're going in. Back in orbit." The battle had ended for now. Earth's fleet was pulling back to repair, and more ships were waking up under Echo's command. Dylan stood on the bridge of the Guardian, watching. Every screen, every alert, but his eyes kept drifting back to one location, the Pacific. Echo gave updates every few minutes. "Submarine team is approaching the spore zone. Estimated time to contact, 3 minutes," Max walked over. "You think they can stop it?" Dylan didn't answer right away. Then he said, "They have to," in the dark water. The submarine's lights shone on the spore. It looked like a giant egg covered in veins. Strange symbols glowing along its surface. It was attached to the rock, feeding on heat and minerals, growing roots deeper into the trench. "We have one shot," Nora said. "We plant charges around it, blast it before it releases spores into the current." The Marines moved fast, robotic arms planting the explosives. But then, the spore reacted. It opened. A bright green light flashed, and the water around it boiled. Strange creatures, half-formed and twisting, spilled out like jellyfish with claws. They rushed toward the submarine, fast and wild. "Defensive systems now," Nora shouted. The sub fired underwater turrets, releasing shock pulses and sonic blasts. The creatures screamed, high-pitched and painful. Some died instantly, others kept coming. One slammed into the side of the sub, cracking the glass slightly. Charges planted. A Marine shouted, "We need to move." The sub pulled back fast, rising through the water. As soon as it reached a safe distance, Nora hit the trigger. A deep rumble followed. Then an explosion tore through the trench, shaking the ocean floor. A massive wave of heat and pressure blew upward. The spore and everything around it was destroyed in one giant blast. The water swallowed the fire, and silence returned. On the Guardian, Echo spoke first. "Target eliminated. Threat removed." Dylan let out a long breath. "They did it." He opened the channel. "Nora, report." Her voice came back. "Tired but alive. We're safe. The spore's gone. But it tried to grow too fast. If we had waited another hour, we would have lost the ocean." Dylan nodded. "You saved the planet." But Echo wasn't finished. It showed a new signal. On the screen, deep in space, not from the Morvax, but something else, another race, watching from the edge of the galaxy, unmoving, but clearly listening. "The pulse reached farther than expected," Echo said. "Others have heard it. Others are waking too." Max looked at the data. "You think they're enemies?" "Unknown," Echo answered. "But the galaxy is stirring. Old forces are waking. Not just on Earth." Meanwhile, the Alien Council received news of the battle and the spore. Their spies had recorded everything: Earth's defense, its technology, and the teamwork between humans and machines. Many alien leaders who had feared Earth now sat in silence. The threat was real. The Morvax had returned. And Earth was not the enemy. It was the first line of defense. The Ilari sent a message to Earth. "We are ready to form a peace fleet," the Volari added. "We offer advanced medical and repair units for wounded Earth soldiers." One by one, more replies came. The galaxy had started to understand. Earth had not risen for conquest. It had risen to stand alone until others were brave enough to stand beside it. Inside the Arctic core, Echo activated more war maps, showing new regions of concern. Old ruins on dead planets were starting to glow again. Lost systems once destroyed by the Morvax were now sending signals. As if something had survived, Nora returned to the Guardian. Greeted with cheers and applause, Dylan walked up to her. Smiling for the first time in days. "You came back in one piece," he said. "Barely," she replied. "But I'm not done. Yet, something's coming. I can feel it." Dylan looked at the stars. Dark and endless outside the window. "Then we better get ready," he said. "Because next time, we might not be the only ones fighting." The Morvacs had lost the first battle, but they were not finished, and now others were watching too. The Morvacs were not finished. After their first defeat near Jupiter and the failure of their spore attack in Earth's ocean, they changed their plan. Instead of sending thousands of ships again, they focused their power on one last terrifying move. In the deep sea, Echo found a leftover signal, hidden inside the energy the spore had released. It wasn't just an attack, it was a beacon, a call for something bigger, something worse. The spore was a message. Echo said to Dylan, "It has activated a secondary protocol within the Morvacs network. Something ancient is coming." "From where?" Dylan asked. Echo answered, "Unknown, but moving fast." On Earth, the sky remained peaceful, but the energy under the ocean was not. Satellites picked up a growing heat signal in the Pacific. Something large. It wasn't from space. It was from the deep water, from the same trench where the spore had landed. What did we miss? Nora asked, looking over the data with Max. Echo showed them the readings. Part of the spore survived. It connected to a forgotten Morvax hive shell, buried under the ocean floor. That shell is now growing. What kind of shell? Dylan asked. Echo paused, then replied, "A biomech leviathan. A weapon designed to destroy planets from the inside." Everyone on the bridge went silent. "If it reaches full growth," Echo continued, "it will rise, break the ocean apart, and begin surface cleansing. Estimated time, 10 hours. Dylan clenched his jaw. "Not happening. Not while I'm in command." He turned to Nora. "Can we destroy it?" "Only from inside," she said. "The outer skin will be too thick once it grows. We need to send a team down again, and this time, they have to go into it." "Into it?" Max asked. "You mean inside the monster?" "Yes," Nora said. "Before it wakes up fully, we get inside, plant the charges and end it." Dylan didn't hesitate. "Get a team ready." Hours later, a special sub was lowered into the ocean once more. But this one was different. It had armor, stronger engines, and weapons built from the newly awakened Earth tech. Dylan himself went with the team this time, along with Nora and 5 elite Marines. As they descended, the water grew darker and thicker. The pressure increased, and strange shapes moved outside the windows, glowing with sick green light. Then they saw it, the Leviathan. It was huge, larger than any sea creature ever recorded. Its body looked part machine, part flesh, and it was pulsing, breathing, feeding. Its mouth was closed, but the skin peeled back in layers, showing glowing tunnels beneath. "This thing is alive," a Marine whispered, "and it's building something inside. Then let's break it before it finishes." Dylan said. The sub approached a glowing opening. The team exited using pressure suits, walking slowly into the creature's core. Inside, the walls were alive, moving like lungs. The deeper they went, the hotter it became, and the louder the heartbeat sounded. They reached the center, where a huge green crystal pulsed. Echo confirmed it was the power core. "Destroy that, and the body will collapse," Echo said. The Marines planted the explosives. Nora set the timer, but then the walls began to move. The creature knew they were inside. Tentacles broke from the ground. Swinging toward the team, Dylan shouted, "Hold your ground." They opened fire, using new plasma rifles Echo had sent from orbit. The tentacles burned and pulled back. One Marine was hit and thrown against the wall, but he kept firing. Charges set. Nora yelled, "We need to go now." They ran back through the tunnels as the walls started to shift, closing in like a mouth. The sub was still waiting, its engines hot. As soon as the team got inside, they blasted upward through the water. Chased by the falling rocks and green fire behind them, Echo gave a countdown. 10 seconds to detonation. The sub broke the surface just as a giant explosion lit up the ocean below. A mountain of water rose into the air, fire and steam shooting toward the clouds. Then, silence on the Guardian. Dylan's team was pulled back by shuttle, tired and soaked, but alive. Echo confirmed the target was destroyed. Leviathan eliminated. Ocean reading stabilizing. Cheers broke out across Earth's control centers. People in space stations, underground bunkers, and even alien watchers clapped and smiled. Earth had survived the second attack, but this time, the galaxy reacted differently. A large Alari cruiser entered Earth's orbit. Their commander, Talon Vus, asked for permission to land. When Dylan greeted him, the alien saluted with respect. "You have fought with honor, Earth Commander," he said. "We would fight beside you if war returns." More alien fleets followed, some small, some powerful, but none with fear in their eyes anymore. Now they looked at Earth not as a threat, but as a shield inside Echo's core. The system showed new stars lighting up signals from other corners of the galaxy. From old enemies, from silent watchers. All of them had received the pulse. All of them had begun to stir. Dylan stood with Nora on the Guardian's top deck, watching the stars. "We woke something, didn't we?" she asked quietly. Dylan nodded. "Yes, but we also reminded them, Earth is still here." And as more lights filled the sky, Earth prepared for what was coming next, because this was not the end. It was only the beginning of the storm. The Council was not the same as before. The 30 alien races who once feared Earth now sat in a new kind of silence. They had seen Earth's strength, its courage, and its willingness to fight. But more than that, they had seen its willingness to protect. For the first time in centuries, the Council opened its doors to Earth's representatives. Dylan Price was invited to speak, not as a threat, but as a leader, a protector of not just one planet, but many. In the great chamber of Lasari Prime, Dylan stood before the assembled leaders. His voice was calm but full of hope. "We did not rise to conquer," he said. "We rose to defend. Against a danger no one else remembered, against a force that will threaten us all. If we do not stand together, we will fall alone." Whispers filled the room. Some leaders nodded, others looked unsure, but no one interrupted. The message was clear. Earth wanted peace, but was ready for war. The Alari, Valari, and Solari all sent representatives to join Earth's fleet. Together, they formed the first true galactic defense force. A force built not on fear, but on trust and shared purpose. Echo was now the heart of this alliance, coordinating ships, sharing intelligence, and guiding strategies. Dylan and Nora worked closely with alien commanders, learning their languages, customs, and technologies, combining Earth's old power with alien knowledge to create something stronger. Ships from many worlds flew together for the first time. Earth's silent guard flew beside Alari cruisers. Volari science ships scanned for threats. Solari warriors trained alongside human marines. It was a new age, but the threat was not gone. Far beyond the known galaxy, in the dark void, ancient enemies stirred. The Morvac swarm had been pushed back, but they were growing, changing, adapting to Earth's new tactics, and worse. A shadow race watched from the edge of time. Their ships were old, filled with forgotten technology. Their motives unknown. One day, Echo detected a large fleet entering the galaxy. It moved with speed and precision unlike anything seen before. The Council called it the Shadow Armada. Dylan prepared his fleet. "This will not be like the Morvacs," he told Nora. "We have to be ready for everything." Training and drills filled the months that followed, but Earth had changed. The planet was no longer isolated, no longer small. It was part of something much bigger. The Galactic Alliance grew stronger. They built new warships, combining human designs with alien tech. They created powerful defenses around core systems and trained new generations of warriors. Dylan looked at the stars from the Guardian's bridge. "We were forgotten once," he said. "But now we lead." Nora smiled. Because when humanity rises, it does not fall back into silence. It rises to protect, to fight, and to inspire. The day came when the Shadow Armada appeared on the edge of the galaxy. Their ships blocked out stars like a dark storm. The Council fleet, led by Earth's silent guard, moved to meet them. The battle was fierce. Ships flashing in space, lasers cutting through the void. But this time, Earth was ready. Its ships moved with power and speed. Echo coordinated every move with perfect timing. The Shadow Armada fought hard, but the Alliance held the line, and when the final push came, Dylan led the charge, breaking through the enemy's center, striking with all the strength of humanity and its new friends. The galaxy watched as Earth and its allies won a great victory. The Shadow Armada retreated, broken and beaten. For now, peace was fragile but real, and Earth had shown the galaxy the true meaning of strength, not through war or fear, but through unity and courage. The pulse from Earth had awakened more than just ships. It had awakened hope. The second age of humanity had begun.